Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm gonna discuss the rational numbers. Yeah. But before we go further to our discussion, let's have first a review of what we have discussed for the last 2 weeks. Okay, so let's check what you have learned. So simplify the following. So for now, you may pause this video and then try to answer all this. And then thereafter, check if you got the correct answers. Now, these are the correct answers. For number 1, -40. Number 2, 0. 3, -40. Number 4, 0. Number 5, 40. For the multiplication and division, number 1, -50. Number 2, +50. Number 3, -2. And number 4, +2. So, I hope naalala nyo yung rules sa pag-add, subtract, multiply, and pag-divide ng integers. Now, let's proceed to the identifying the properties of operations on integers that are being applied in the following. So, for number 1, it is a distributive. 2 is commutative. 3, associative. 4, identity property. Number 5, additive inverse. And number 6 is multiplicative inverse. So don't forget about all these things because we are going to apply those things that you have learned in our discussion for this week. So let's proceed to our lesson for this week, our learning goals. After going through this lesson, you are expected to express rational numbers from fraction form to decimal form and vice versa, and perform operations on rational numbers. Okay, now let's first define what are rational numbers. So these are numbers which can be written as a quotient of two integers, a over b, where b is not equal to 0. Okay, so kapag pwedeng i-divide yung dalawang integers where b or the divisor is not equal to 0, then that is already a rational number. Any rational number can be expressed in fraction form or decimal form. Sa mga susunod na lessons natin, mas makikita nyo yung concept or ano ba yung mga rational numbers na yan. But for this video, we're gonna tackle just the decimals and the fractions. Now, how to convert fraction into decimal form? So, converting fraction into decimal form is simply dividing the numerator by the denominator. Okay? So, now, express the following in decimal form. So, we have here two examples. Now, ipapakita ko sa inyo paano siya gawin. So, for number 1, 4 over 5. Okay? So, 4 over 5. So, paano natin siya i-divide? So, ang mangyayari, yung ating dividend, siya yung nasa loob, diba? And then, the divisor, yun yung nasa labas ng division symbol or sign. Ayan. So, since mas maliit yung ating numerator or yung dividend natin dito, ang gagawin natin, lalagyan natin, mag-a-add tayo ng 0 sa tabi ng 4. And then, pag nag-add tayo ng 0, dyan, maglalagay din tayo ng decimal point dito sa mismong quotient natin, sa simula. So, 0 point. Ayan. So, now we can divide the 2. So, 40 divided by 5 is 8. Diba? And then, 8 times 5 is 40. Therefore, 4 over 5, 40 minus 40 is equal to 0. Therefore, 4 over 5 is equal to 0.8 decimal. Diba? Yan yung equivalent niya. And then, how about 2 over 5? So, 2 over 5, what will be the decimal form? So, again, di-divide natin sa lahat. 2 divided by 5. Okay? Again, lagyan natin ng 0 sa tabi ng 2, and then dun sa quotient, 0.2. 20 divided by 5 is equal to 4. And then 4 times 5 is 20. So therefore, 2/5 is equal to 0.4. Ang equivalent ng 2/5 sa decimal form is 0.4. So that's how we convert fraction into decimal form. How to express decimal to fraction form. A decimal is expressed to fraction form by using its digits, disregarding the decimal point as the numerator, and selecting the correct power of 10 as the denominator. The fraction is then expressed in simplest form. So, paano ba yan? Sa madaling salita, ayan, so wag natin kakalimutan yung place value ng mga decimals. Diba? Hindi siya katulad ng mga whole number. So, whole number, nagsisimula sa ones, diba? And then tens, hundreds, so on and so forth. Sa decimal values or places, magsisimula tayo sa tenths. Diba? Tenths, hundreds, thousands, etc. So, kapag ang ating value, kung ano yung place value niya ng decimal, yun yung magiging divisor niya. So, for example, for 0.8, gagawin lang natin siyang whole number. I-disregard natin tong 0 at yung decimal point. So, magiging 8 divided by 10. Kasi nga yung 8 nasa 10th place. Diba? Okay. So, magiging 8 over 10. Or, when we get the simplest form or lowest term, this will be 4 over 5. So, yan yung answer natin. So, 8 over 10 is equivalent to 4 over 5. Okay? And, for number 2, 0.25. Since dalawang places yung decimal natin dito, so, i-divide natin ngayon si 25 sa 100. Ayan, kasi nandito siya. Again, disregard natin yung decimal point. Magiging 25 divided by 100. Kasi dalawa siya eh. Dalawa yung decimal places natin. So, 25 divided by 100. Or, pag kinuha natin yung lowest term, this will be 1 over 4 or 1/4. So, 0.25 is equivalent to 1/4. Okay? And then lastly, for 2.75, ang gawin muna natin, huwag muna nating intindihin itong whole number. Dito muna tayo sa decimal. So, magiging 75 divided by 100. Diba? Kasi nga, 2 decimal places din yan. Which is equal to, when we get the lowest term of this fraction, this will be 3, diba? Di-divide natin the numerator and the denominator by 25, diba? Kasi yun yung greatest common factor nila. So, 75 divided by 25 is 3, and 100 divided by 25 is 4. So, yan yung equivalent ng 0.75 sa fraction. Anong gagawin natin ngayon sa 2? So, ang gagawin lang natin, ikakabit lang natin siya mismo doon sa ating fraction. So, this will be 2 and 3/4. At ito na yung ating fraction. So, 2.75 into fraction is 2 and 3/4. So, I hope na intindihan natin. Okay? Ayan. Now, let's proceed to the adding and subtracting fractions. So, just remember that pag similar fractions, same yung kanilang denominator. Pag dissimilar fractions, dissimilar or magkaiba. Okay? Ang kanilang denominators. Now, how to add or subtract similar fractions? So, dun muna tayo sa same yung denominator. So, to add or subtract similar fractions, add or subtract the numerator and copy the common denominator. reduce to lowest term if necessary. So, lagi natin isusulat sa lowest term yung ating final answer. Now, before that, just a reminder, pag sinabi natin greatest common factor, it is the greatest whole number that is a factor of the numbers. Okay, so for example, the GCF of 12 and 24 is 12. Kasi kukunin natin yung factors nila. Factors of 12, we have 1, 2, 4, 6, and 12. For the 24, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, and 12. So kung ano yung pinakamalaking factor na common sa kanila, that is the GCF. Bakit kailangan yun? Because we use GCF to get the lowest term of fraction. Doon natin dinidivide yung numerator and denominator for us to reduce the fraction to lowest term. Now, let's add 3/8 plus 1/8. What we are just going to do is to add the numerators, okay? And since sila ay similar fractions, we will just copy the common denominator. So, this will be 3 plus 1, 4, and then copy the common denominator, which is 8. So, we have 4 8s. And we can reduce this to lowest term. So, what will be the GCF? The GCF of 4 and 8 is 4. So, divide the numerator and denominator by 4. So, this will be 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 8 divided by 4 is 2. So, the final answer for this is 1/2. Next, how about in subtraction? So, 4 minus 2 is 2, and then copy the common denominator, which is 6. So, we have 2 over 6. But this is not yet the lowest term. Okay? So, what is the GCF of 2 and 6? It is 2. Diba? So, 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. So, therefore, the final answer here is 1/3. Okay? Now, simplify the following. So, try to answer this on your notebook, and then, again, you may pause this video para makita nyo kung tama ba yung ginawa nyo o naiintindihan nyo na. Okay. So, for number 1, 3/9 plus 3/9. So, this will be 6 over 9. So, we have to reduce this to lowest term. This will be 6 over 9 divided by 3 over 3 because 3 is the greatest factor of 6 and 9. So, the final answer here is 2/3. Okay? So, I hope nakuha nyo yung tamang sagot. For number 2, 3/10 plus 1/10. So, 3 plus 1 is 4 over 10. Copy the common denominator. And then, reduce this to lowest term. What is the GCF of 4 and 10? That is 2. So, 4 divided by 2 is 2, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So, therefore, the final answer here is 2/5. Now, let's proceed to the dissimilar fractions. Yung magkaiba yung kanilang denominators. So, to add or subtract fractions with different denominators, which are the dissimilar fractions, change them to equivalent fractions by finding the least common denominator. Then, or yung LCD. Then, apply the rules in adding or subtracting fractions with the same denominators. So, kailangan gawin muna natin silang similar, yung dissimilar fractions, for us to add or subtract them. So, how are we going to do that? So, but first, let's have a review about the LCD or the LCM. Same lang sila. Kaya lang siya tinatawag na LCD kasi ginagamit siya sa denominator, okay, ng fraction. So, for example, the LCM of 3 and 12, yung LCM meaning multiples. So, list common multiples. So, multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, diba? So, on and so forth. The multiples of 12, 12, 24, 36, 48, so on and so forth. So, kaya nga list, yung pinakamababa na common multiple nila. So, that is 12. So, the LCM of 3 and 12 is 12. Okay? So, note we use this to make the dissimilar fractions similar. Now, let's add 3/4 plus 1/6. Okay? So, what is the LCD of 4 and 6 or the LCM of 4 and 6? That is 12, diba? Okay, so 12. So, 4, 8, 4, 8, 12, 16. 6, 12, 18. So, the least common multiple of 4 and 6 is 12. Now, paano natin kukunin yung numerators niya? Diba? So, mangyayari dito, divide natin si 12 by 4. Doon muna tayo sa unang fraction. 12 divided by 4 is 3. Times 3 is 9. Okay? Kaya 9 yung magiging numerator natin dyan. And then, ganun din sa second fraction natin, 12 divided by 6 is 2. Times 1, 2. So, this will be 2 over 12. So, eto yun siya. 9 over 12 plus 2 over 12. So, now we can add the numerators and then just copy the common denominator. Diba? Kasi similar fractions na sila. So, 9 plus 2 is 11 and copy the common denominator which is 12. So, the final answer here is 11 over 12. So, wag kalimutan yung process. 12 divided by 4 times 3. Okay? Divide sa denominator and then multiply sa numerator. Another example for the subtraction. 4 over 8 minus 5 over 12. Now, what is the LCM of 8 and 12? So, mag-list down tayo ng multiples ng 8 and 12. Kung ano yung pinakamababa na common multiple nila, then that will be our denominator. The least common multiple of 8 and 12 is 24. Okay? Now, we can proceed. Since parehas na sila ng denominator, paano natin makukuha yung numerators naman? So, i-divide natin si 24 by 8. 24 divided by 8 is 3. Times 4 is 12. Diba? And then, 12 yung una nating numerator. Doon naman tayo sa pangalawang fraction. 24 divided by 12 is 2. Times 5 is 10. So, this will be 12 over 24 minus 10 over 24. Now, we have the similar fractions. Pwede na tayo mag-subtract. So, 12 minus 10 is 2. And then, copy the common denominator, which is 24. So, what is the GCF of 2 and 24? 2. Okay, so divide the numerator and denominator by 2. We will have 1 over 12. So, ito yung final answer natin for this given. Yan. So, I hope ay naintindihan natin yung pagsosolve, pag-add, or pag-subtract ng dissimilar fraction. So, let's proceed to the multiplying and dividing fraction. So, ito madali lang din siya. So, tandaan lang yung steps, paano siya gawin. So, how to multiply rational numbers in fraction 4? Just multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. And of course, reduce the answer to lowest term. Palagi. Okay? So, in symbol, A over B times C over D is equal to A times C over B times D. Okay? So, ganun lang siya. Multiply lang natin yung numerators and then the denominators. Where B and D are not equal to 0. Bakit ba bawal maging 0 yung denominators natin or yung ating divisor? Kasi magiging undefined ang ating number. Okay? So, kumbaga pag nilagay natin siya sa calculator, magiging error. Syntax error or math error. Now, let's have an example. Multiply 3/4 and 5/6. So, magiging 3 times 5 is 15. And then 4 times 6 is 24. Ayan. So, now we can reduce this product to lowest term. What is the GCF of 15 and 24? That is 3, diba? So, let's divide them by 3. So, we will have 5 over 8. Therefore, the final answer is 5/8. Okay, so 3 times 5 3/4 times 5/6 is equal to 5/8. Yan. Ganun lang siya. Next, how about when we have mixed fractions? Okay? Paano naman kapag mixed? So, kailangan muna dito, gawin muna natin siyang improper fractions. Ano ba yung improper fraction? Pag sinabing improper fraction, review lang ito, mas malaki yung numerator kaysa sa denominator. Okay? So, paano ba natin yun gawin? So, multiply natin yung denominator sa whole number. So, 4 times 2 is 8. and then add the numerator. 8 plus 1 is 9. Kaya naging 9 yun. And then just copy the denominator, 9 over 4. For the second mixed fraction, 6 times 5 is 30. Diba? Plus 4 is 34. So, kaya yung 5 and 4, 6 is equal to 34 over 6. Sa nakukuha yun, kakopy lang natin yung denominator dito. We can multiply them now. So, ayan, 9/4 times 34 over 6. So, simplify by dividing by a common factor. So, paano ba ito masisimplify? Itong 9/4 times 34 over 6. Para paliitin natin yung values nung ating fraction. So, 9/4 times 34 over 6. Kasi mas maganda na mag-multiply tayo ng fractions na maliit na yung mga numbers, diba? So, isi-simplify muna natin to. Ano ba yung GCF ng 9 and 6? That is 3, diba? So, divide natin sila parehas by 3. So, yung 9 magiging 3, diba? Kasi 9 divided by 3 and then 6 divided by 3 is 2. So, mas maliit na yung number natin or numbers natin. How about 34 and 4? Meron silang greatest common factor, diba? Which is 2. So, 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then, 34 divided by 2 is 17. Ayan. So, mas maliit na yung ating fractions. Pwede na natin, mas madali na siyang i-multiply. So, 3 times 17 is 51. And then, 2 times 2 is 4. So, ito na yun ngayon. 51 over 4. Okay? So, ayan siya. Or 12 and 3/4. Okay? So, madalas ang hinihingi kasi kung ano ang given, dapat yun din yung final answer. So, since ang given natin ay mixed fraction, okay? Kaya ang ginawa dito, ginawa na rin mixed fraction yung final answer. 12 and 3/4. Paano yan nakuha? Divide lang natin si 51 by 4. Okay? So, 51 divided by 4. Divide lang natin. So, 5 divided by 4 is 1. And then, 1 times 4 is 4. Diba? Then, subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. And then, bring down 1. 11 divided by 4 is 2. And then, 2 times 4 is 8. 11 minus 8 is 3. So, dito nakuha yung mixed fraction natin. 12 and 3/4. So, isusulat natin siya. Yung whole number will be the quotient. Diba? Yung remainder natin, yun yung magiging numerator. And then, of course, yung divisor, yun ngayon ang magiging denominator. So, 12 and 3/4. Ito ngayon yung final answer natin. Yeah. Now, solve the following. Again, you may pause this video and then answer this. Try to answer this on your note. So, 4/5 times 3/8. This will be 12 over 40 or 3/10. Okay? And then for number 2, negative 5/6 times 3/10 equals 15 over 60. The lowest term is negative 1/4. So, bakit negative yung final answer natin? Because different signs yung ating minumultiply. Kaya negative yung product natin. And then for number 3, 1 and 1/3 times 2 and 1/4. So we have to convert this into improper fraction first before we multiply. So magiging 4 over 3 times 9 over 4. And then multiply 4 times 9, 36. 3 times 4 is 12, which is equal to 3. So final answer natin dito is 3. Okay? So, pwede rin ang gawin natin dito, again, i-simplify muna natin yung mismong fraction. Diba? Yan yung 4 and 4, 9 and 3, para mas maging madali sa atin yung pag-solve. Okay. Now, let's proceed to the division of rational numbers in fraction form. So, to divide rational numbers in fraction form, you take the reciprocal of the second fraction. So, yung reciprocal, diniscuss ko na yun for during our last lesson. Okay, call the divisor and multiply it by the first fraction. So, ang gagawin lang natin in symbol, A over B divided by C over D is equal to A over B. Yung first fraction natin, okay, same pa din. Wala tayong gagawin. Pero yung second fraction natin or yung divisor, kukunin natin yung reciprocal. Pagbabalik na rin natin. So, yung C over D dito, magiging D over C. And then, proceed to multiplication. So, magiging A times D and B times C. Okay, where B and C and D are not equal to 0. Again, bawal maging 0 ang ating denominator or divisor because that will be undefined. Okay? Now, let's divide. 4/5 divided by 2/3. So, again, ang una natin gagawin, get the reciprocal of the second fraction. So, this will be 4/5 times 3/2. Diba? Binaliktad na natin. So, now we can multiply. 4 times 3 is 12 and 5 times 2 is 10. Then, reduce to lowest term. What is the greatest common factor of 12 and 10? That is 2. So, let's divide 12 and 10 by 2. And we will have 6 over 5. So, the final answer here is 6/5 or 6 over 5. Again, huwag kalimutan, pwede nating i-simplify muna yung mismong fractions natin bago tayo mag-multiply para mas maliit na yung mga numbers na minumultiply natin. Okay? For this one, pwedeng i-cancel si 4 and si 2. Diba? Si 2 magiging 1 and si 4 magiging 2. Kaya, ang final answer natin dito ay 6/5. Next. Now, solve the following. Ayan. So, again, you may pause this video, answer this items on your notebook, and then thereafter, check if you got the correct answers. So, for number 1, ayan. Ang answer ay 32 over 15 or 2 and 2 over 15. So, yung improper fraction dito, ginawa ko lang mixed. And then, for number 2, the final answer is negative 1. Negative 2 over 2, negative 1. Ito siya. And for number 3, bakit pala isa number 2? Balik tayo. Bakit siya naging negative? Kasi nga different signs. So, the quotient is negative. And then for number 3, since ito ay same sign, so the quotient is a positive number. So, ayan siya. So, 3/2 or 1 and 1/2. Yan lang. So, huwag kalimutan yung mga rules sa pag-multiply at pag-divide ng fractions. Now, let us solve the following problems. So, this morning, Miguel bought 1 pound of dilis. Okay? In order to eat with his family, he used 3/4 of a pound. How much does he have left in the refrigerator? Okay, so, meron tayong hint dito or clue word para malaman anong operation ba yung ating gagamitin. So, ang tanong, how much does he have left? Ilan daw yung naiwan? So, anong operation ng ating gagamitin? That will be subtraction. Okay, so ganun lang siya. So, since ito ay whole number si 1, kailangan gawin din natin siyang fraction, diba? Para mai-subtract natin yung 3/4 sa kanya. So, paano natin siya gagawing whole fraction, yung whole number? So, kung ano yung denominator, kung ano lang yung denominator natin, okay, so yun lang din, imumultiply natin siya doon sa whole number. So, that will be 4. 4 over 4. Yun din yung magiging numerator at denominator. Same lang. So, technically, 4 divided by 4 is equal to 1. Iisa lang sila. Kailangan kasi nating makakuha ng fraction na same ang denominator dito sa 3/4. Na dapat, of course, equivalent sa 1. Kaya 4 over 4. Minus 3/4. 4 minus 3 is 1. And then copy the common denominator, which is 4. So, the final answer here is 1/4 pound. Don't forget that when we are solving word problems, okay, dapat may unit of measurement. Ano ba yung ginamit? Kilometer ba siya? Inches, pound, ganyan. Dapat complete yung answer natin. Okay? And for number 2, Rachel rode her bike for 1/5 of a mile on Monday and 2/5 of a mile on Tuesday. How many miles did she ride altogether? So, meron ulit ang hint or clue dito kung ano yung operation na gagamitin. All together. Ibig sabihin, lahat or yung sum. Diba? So, we just have to add 1/5 and 2/5. So, since similar fractions naman sila, madali na lang. So, 1 plus 2 is 3. And then, copy the common denominator, which is 5. So, the final answer here is 3/5 or 3/5 miles, or Rachel rode 3/5 miles. Okay? So, that's all for this video. I hope that you have learned a lot. Thank you so much.